The Philadelphia Eagles are making moves that nobody saw coming. Not the fans, not the analysts, not even the haters, and that says a lot. Because what just came out might signal a major shakeup in the Birds' defense. And it all starts with a name that's probably flying under the radar. Mike Hilton. Yep, veteran cornerback Mike Hilton is reportedly being worked out by the team. And if the Eagles actually go through with signing him, that could mean Cooper Dean is on the verge of a full-time position change. And let me tell you right now, that's a twist I don't think anyone expected heading into this season. Hilton is not just any journeyman. This guy's been in the league for 8 years, playing quality football with both the Steelers and Bengals. He's physical, aggressive, and pound for pound one of the toughest corners in the league. Last year, he was actually graded as the #1 cornerback in the entire NFL against the run, and he's always been a solid tackler who isn't afraid to mix it up. He's not a star, he's not flashy, but he's the type of dude who does the dirty work and does it well. That's why this workout is raising eyebrows, because Hilton isn't a versatile outside-in type of corner. At 5'9" and barely tipping 180 pounds, this guy is a pure slot corner, through and through. So what does that mean for Philly? Simple. If they're bringing in a full-time slot guy, that might mean they're pushing Cooper Dean to the outside permanently. And that's where the questions start flying. Because on one hand, sure, it solved the problem. The Eagles still haven't fully nailed down the outside corner spot, especially after how shaky Adoree Jackson looked last Thursday. Moving Dean outside would put one of their best defenders in a position of need. But on the other hand, and this is where things get tricky, Dean has been lights out in the slot. He's elite there. He's smart, twitchy, physical in close spaces, and just knows how to blow up plays underneath. Why mess with something that's working? And let's not forget the business side of this, either. Because if you shift Dean outside and he becomes your full-time CB1 or CB2, guess what happens when contract talks come up? You're not paying him like a slot guy anymore. You're paying him like a #1 corner. And that's a major price jump. Right now, the highest paid corner in football is Sauce Gardner, who's pulling in over $30 million a year. Meanwhile, the highest paid slot corner? That would be Kyler Gordon with the Bears, making around $13.3 million annually. That's a massive difference, and it could impact the Eagles' flexibility long-term. So yeah, it's not just about football. It's about money too. Now, to be fair, nothing is set in stone yet. Vic Fangio, the Eagles' defensive coordinator, literally said a few weeks ago that they had no plans to move Dean to the outside full-time. But actions speak louder than words, and bringing in a guy like Hilton, who has zero outside experience, makes you wonder if the coaching staff is at least testing the waters. Maybe this is just about creating competition. Maybe it's about depth. Or maybe they're seriously considering a defensive reshuffle before things really start rolling. Either way, if you're a fan of Cooper Dean in the slot, which, honestly, everyone should be, this situation just got a whole lot more interesting. While all of that drama is unfolding on the defensive side, Howie Roseman did what Howie does. He pulled off another trade out of nowhere, this time sending a pair of late-round picks, a 5th and 6th in the 2026 draft, to the Jaguars in exchange for running back Tank Bigsby. And listen, I don't care who you are, nobody saw that coming. But in hindsight, it kind of makes sense, especially with Will Shipley nursing a rib injury that could keep him sidelined. The Eagles clearly weren't comfortable riding into a Super Bowl rematch without more depth at the position, and Bigsby gives them not only insurance, but real value. This isn't just some guy who's going to warm the bench. Last season, Bigsby ran for nearly 800 yards, tacked on 7 touchdowns, and averaged 4.6 yards per carry. That's not just serviceable, that's productive. And what makes him even more intriguing is that he can contribute in the return game, which Philly's been trying to improve for years. He's physical, has decent top-end speed, and can grind out tough yards. The kind of player who brings juice to both the offense and special teams. The fact that the Eagles gave up 2 picks for him, even if they're late rounders, tells you everything you need to know. They're not bringing him in to be RB4. They're bringing him in to contribute. And honestly, that move came at the perfect time because, let's be real, the Eagles' offense in Week 1 was far from smooth. In his first game as the official offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo had a mixed performance. There were some solid play designs early on and a few nice wrinkles that showed creativity, but overall the offense felt clunky. The run game lacked rhythm, and the play calling in the second half was borderline predictable. One of the biggest head-scratchers? How they used Saquon Barkley. Or rather, how they misused him. Barkley finished with just 60 yards on 18 carries, averaging 3.3 yards per attempt. He did score a touchdown, but outside of that, it was a slog. And it's not really on Barkley. The guy looked fine when he had space. The problem was the formations and play calling. Patullo kept dialing up run plays out of tight, condensed sets with heavy personnel, which basically invited the Cowboys to load up the box. And they did. According to advanced stats, Barkley faced a stacked box, meaning 8 or more defenders near the line, on nearly 67% of his carries. That's more than triple what he saw last season, and the highest rate he's faced in his career. You cannot run efficiently like that, no matter how good your back is. It's even more frustrating when you realize Barkley's best run of the game, his touchdown, came on a play out of 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, where the formation was spread out, forcing Dallas to thin out the box. And it worked. So why didn't Patullo stick with it? Why go back to the condensed, predictable stuff that clearly wasn't working? That's something the staff needs to look at hard before Kansas City comes to town. And the same problems showed up in the passing game, too. There were moments where the scheme looked sharp. The Eagles took advantage of soft zone with some nice quick hitters. But there were also stretches where the route combinations felt bland and receivers just weren't being schemed open. The offense leaned too heavily on short yardage concepts and didn't do nearly enough to attack the perimeter or create explosive plays. On top of that, A.J. Brown didn't look right. He seemed to step slow, didn't separate the way we're used to seeing, and at times felt like a decoy out there. It's possible he's still dealing with the lingering effects of that hamstring issue, and if so, the Eagles need to be smart about how they use him. But also, Patullo and the staff have to find ways to get him more involved, even if he's not at 100%. The good news in all of this? Jalen Hurts was elite. He didn't light up the stat sheet, but his command of the offense, his processing, and his poise under pressure were next level. Whenever things started to break down, and there were plenty of those moments, Hurts bailed the team out with his legs or made the right read to keep the drive alive. And then, when the game was on the line, he absolutely delivered. One play in particular, 3rd and 3, late in the 4th, showed just how dangerous he is. He manipulated the formation with pre-snap motion, recognized the coverage, and ran a spacing concept that pulled defenders just enough to open up a lane. From there, he saw the window, tucked the ball, and iced the game with a first down run that only a few quarterbacks in the league could have pulled off. He made it look easy, and for that, he was rewarded as Philly's highest graded offensive player of the week and the 3rd highest QB in the league, according to PFF, with a score of 88.6. As much as that Week 1 win felt good, the time for celebration is over, because all eyes are now locked on Sunday's showdown, a Super Bowl rematch against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The emotions are going to be high, the lights are going to be brighter than ever, and every little detail is going to matter. But just as the Eagles are trying to clean things up offensively and figure out who they really are with a new coordinator calling plays, the Chiefs are now facing a new problem of their own, and it's a big one. Their rookie wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, who's been generating a lot of hype this offseason, is officially out after suffering a dislocated shoulder in last week's loss. That's a brutal blow for Kansas City, because Worthy was just starting to show signs that he could be their next dynamic threat. And now, he's not only missing Sunday's game. There's concern he could miss extended time depending on whether surgery is needed. For the Eagles' defense, that's a clear break. There's no way around it. Not having to deal with Worthy's speed changes the way you play this offense. It allows you to focus more on stopping the tight ends, taking away Travis Kelce's underneath routes, and throwing extra pressure at Mahomes without getting burned over the top. And even though nobody likes to see a young player go down, especially with that kind of potential from a competitive standpoint, it definitely helps Philly in this one. That said, Mahomes is still Mahomes. And as long as he's under center, the Chiefs are never out of the game. So the Eagles are going to have to be on point defensively, especially after how exposed certain parts of the secondary looked in Week 1. And yeah, let's talk about that, because the Adoree Jackson performance last Thursday was rough. He just didn't look confident. His timing was off. He got beat too often, and at this point, fans are openly asking for him to be benched. And apparently, they're not alone. The coaching staff clearly isn't satisfied either, because with Mike Hilton's workout now public, it's obvious they're not just sitting on their hands waiting for things to magically fix themselves. That's why there's real conversation building about Jacorian Bennett getting more reps moving forward. He's young, hungry, and while he doesn't have the experience of some of the veterans, he brings speed and physicality, two things this defense could absolutely use more of right now. Bennett might not be the long-term answer, but after what we saw against Dallas, it's hard to argue he couldn't be an improvement. Now, as the game plan for the Chiefs starts to take shape, one of the biggest questions is going to be what kind of coverage shall the Eagles want to run. Because Vic Fangio's system has always relied on disciplined zone coverage, rotating safeties, and trying to force quarterbacks to dink and dunk all game. But that only works if your corners are solid, and if your guys can tackle in space. That's something Hilton would help with tremendously if he gets signed. He's a great run defender, and unlike some of the other guys currently on the depth chart, he rarely misses open field tackles. But again, signing Hilton would likely only make sense if they're planning to shift Cooper Dean to the outside, and that still feels like a risk given how dominant he's been inside. So it's a chess match, not just between the Eagles and the Chiefs, but within the Eagles coaching staff themselves. As if all that wasn't enough to track, now we've also got a wild report flying around involving one of the best defensive players in the entire league, Micah Parsons. Yep, according to Jay Glazer, the Eagles actually tried to make a blockbuster trade for Parsons over the summer, offering a massive package that included at least 2 first-round picks, a third, a fifth, and other assets. But unsurprisingly, Dallas shot it down immediately. They weren't about to trade a generational pass rusher to a division rival, no matter what was on the table. And listen, there's always a little skepticism when reports like this come out, especially considering Glazer has, let's just say, stretched the truth before when it comes to Eagles rumors. But if there's any truth to this one, that's insane. Not just because of what Philly was willing to give up, but because it shows how aggressive this front office is willing to be in pursuit of another ring. Of course, not everything happening in Philly right now is about scheme or depth. There's also a major cloud hanging over the organization with the situation involving Jalen Carter. No decision has been made yet about a potential suspension, and we're still waiting to hear how, or if, the team plans to discipline him internally. It's a delicate situation. Carter is obviously one of the most important young players on the roster, and his presence on the defensive line is massive. But the Eagles also have to send a message about accountability and standards, especially with how young this locker room is overall. So that's another storyline to watch closely heading into the weekend. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The rumor mill has been buzzing, and now it seems the whispers have teeth. According to sources close to the team, TYREEK Hill, one of the NFL's most electrifying wide receivers, has confirmed his arrival to the Philadelphia Eagles. While nothing is set in stone yet, the mere suggestion of Hill donning the midnight green has already sent shockwaves through the league and left Eagles fans dreaming of highlight reel plays that could redefine their season. Hill, known for his blazing speed and game-breaking ability, would bring an entirely new dimension to Philadelphia's offense. The Eagles, who have been searching for a consistent deep threat to pair with their already potent passing game, might have just found the missing puzzle piece. Insiders hint that negotiations have been moving quickly behind closed doors, with both sides eager to make this blockbuster move a reality. If true, Hill's presence could instantly make the Eagles one of the most feared offenses in football. The timing couldn't be more tantalizing. With the NFL landscape constantly shifting and teams jockeying for positioning, adding a player of Hill's caliber would not only elevate the Eagles' on-field performance, but also send a message to the rest of the league. Philadelphia is serious about contending. Fans are already imagining Hill streaking past defenders, connecting with his quarterback on impossibly precise throws, and turning routine plays into game-changing moments. Social media has been ablaze with speculation, and even casual observers are now keeping a close eye on every update from the team. Of course, nothing is official yet, and as with all NFL rumors, caution is warranted. Contracts, medical checks, and the inevitable behind-the-scenes wrangling could all influence the final outcome. But the excitement is undeniable. If Hill truly joins the Eagles, the combination of his speed and the team's strategic offensive scheme could make Philadelphia a nightmare for opposing defenses. Analysts are already reimagining playbooks, imagining how Hill's quickness and agility could open up opportunities not just for him, but for the entire roster. For now, Eagles fans are left on the edge of their seats, waiting for confirmation. The prospect of TYREEK Hill in green and white is enough to generate endless speculation and fevered anticipation. Whether it remains a tantalizing rumor or becomes one of the biggest NFL acquisitions in recent memory, the buzz is real, and the city of Philadelphia is already dreaming big. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.